Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Engati Engage series. I'm your host, Jeremy D'Souza, and today we got a very interesting guest, Avrohom Gottheil, with us. But before we get into the interview, let's begin with a quick introduction about Engati. Engati is the world's leading multilingual no-code chatbot platform, available across 14 channels with 25,000 bots created across 186 countries in every domain and use case. We run the Engati blog and video channel, which receives upwards of 300,000 visitors annually. And now for our guest. Avrohom Gottheil is the founder of Ask the CEO Media, where he helps businesses get heard over all the noise on social media by translating their corporate messages into a language that people understand. Avrohom comes from a 20-plus year career in telecom, where he's helped businesses around the world install and maintain their communication systems and contact centers. He's a top-ranked global expert in IoT, AI, and cybersecurity, and is a frequent speaker on leveraging technology to accelerate revenue growth. Listen to him talk about the latest in technology trends, tools, and best practices for IoT, AI, cloud, cybersecurity, and much more on the Ask the CEO podcast. Avrohom, it's great to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. It's a real honor to be on your show.
Wonderful. So, should we start off with the first question?
Yeah, let's do it.
Wonderful. So, how do you think small businesses can adopt automation to stay running during these lockdowns you're facing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, right now we're in midst of a global pandemic, and many businesses, or I should say many cities and states, are in lockdown mode. Automation is critical all the time, and especially during lockdown. I mean, lockdown puts it to the test, right? When thinking about automation, there's so many different kinds of automation. There's marketing automation, for example, capturing lead gen, building your funnels and things like that. There's business process automation, such as payroll, onboarding, offboarding. And there are many different AI tools available for that. So I think the first thing that we need to do is determine what category of automation might be most helpful for you. And if you're a small business, it might be everything. And actually, what's nice about small businesses as opposed to enterprise is that small businesses are much more agile. They're able to adapt new technology much quicker than larger businesses, and many of the SaaS-based services actually are more accessible or geared towards small businesses. But an interesting thing about what you said was you didn't just ask me about how can small businesses adopt automation, but the question was to stay running during a lockdown, and to stay running. That's our key word right there. So when we think about staying running, we need to ask ourselves, why are we in business in the first place? And when we ask ourselves that question, it's inevitably to serve our clients, right? That's why we're all in business, to serve our clients. So when we use that as our compass, then what we think about is, well, what do our customers want? And what our customers want, that's what we need to do. One of the biggest trends in the industry over the past year was personalization. Businesses want personalized service. They want to be able to get the service that they want, when they want it, in the way they want it. So if you think back, it's like 20 plus years, the late 1990s, when I started my career in telecom, IVR was the big platform. And, for those of you that might be too young to know what IVR is, when you call a company and you have to punch in 100 numbers to get the selection you want. That actually was a major innovation back in the late 1990s because it enabled businesses to provide that self-service to their customers. People no longer had to call in to ask them, what are your hours of operation? Or what's my account balance? Or can I check my order status? And it freed up a lot of the resources to do more productive work. So when thinking about when thinking about a more contemporary solution for the 2020s, chatbots, you mentioned chatbots. I mean, chatbots definitely are the way to go. And nowadays, of course, unlike IVR, which is more of a dumb technology, it was a set of instructions that was programmed with business logic, but it didn't really have any intelligence. Chatbots nowadays have artificial intelligence. So just to drive the idea home, I used to work with a company based out of Singapore that manufactured AI-enabled chatbots. And they had a client that was a company that manufactured coffee makers. And this coffee maker company decided to AI enable their coffee maker. So what's the big deal with that? Well, the big deal is that it provides that personalization. So imagine the following: very tired morning, Tuesday morning, you're just like groggy, irritable, and all you want is your coffee so you can get on with your day. You whip out your phone, you type in, make me a coffee. That's about all the time you have, right? You don't have time to specify, I want a grande with 3 spoonfuls of sugar and half cream, half milk. You don't have time for that. Just make me a coffee. Now the AI will figure out by looking at your calendar, it knows, today is Tuesday. You've got jam back-to-back meetings. Your calendar is double booked, triple booked. It knows by your wearable that you didn't sleep much last night. It knows exactly what to make you. And, while that might be a very novel example of AI-enabled chatbots, think about this from customer service. We have technology today that can tell by inflections in people's voices how irritable they are, what their mood is. And based on that, it can guide customer service agents to providing better care. So, how can we adopt automation? There's so many different tools. And especially when it comes to serving our clients, I think AI-enabled chatbots are the way to go.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, other than just chatbots, what further digital transformations do you expect to see with the current situation of employees all working from home?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the current global crisis is going to be driving a lot of digital transformation. Let's talk about work from home. Another major trend that's been going on for the past year is what we call future of work. And that's the notion that you don't have to show up to an office in order to be productive. You can work from home with a high-speed internet connection, and you could do the same. And on top of that, there are many soft benefits. Number one, the company is going to save a lot of money on real estate. They don't have to buy so much real estate or lease so much real estate space. It's going to cut down pollution. It's going to cut down on waste, electricity, and all the other associated expenses that a business typically needs to deal with. The environment and pollution is a big one. Happiness, people will be much more happy. There'll be a cut in mental illness and depression, anxiety, and things like that. The interesting thing is that right now, this whole notion of future of work was thrust front and center. It's in the spotlight. We have no choice. We have to work from home. Nobody's allowed to come to the office. So the interesting thing is that you and me, can now influence the longevity of this work from home technology or digital transformation. Are we really working as we should? Are we being as productive and serving our companies the way our boss trusts us to work? So you and me and everybody listening to this broadcast, we have the power, we have that influence in that digital transformation. So work from home, I think, is going to become a lot bigger in the coming years, especially after this whole pandemic irons itself out. I think many businesses are going to realize that, it makes a lot more sense to have our employees work from home. What that's going to do is that's going to drive disruption in the real estate industry, because naturally businesses won't need all that real estate space. They're going to downsize. And now real estate is going to have to be more competitive in their offerings. It's not going to be like a Chinese menu. Okay, you want so many offices, it's going to be X amount per square foot, and this is going to be how much for your 10-year lease. Okay, done. Now I don't have to worry about you for 10 years. That's not what it's going to be anymore. But like we discussed, they're going to have to offer personalization. What do businesses want when they want office space? Maybe not maybe. They're going to be more offerings of real estate as a SaaS-based model, as a service. Mm-hmm. I have a client that is in real estate. They're what's called smart co-working spaces, and they do just that. They're a pioneer in a SaaS-based real estate model where businesses can rent office space by the day. Businesses and people can rent office space by the day, but it goes beyond just the simple commodity of renting an office space. They combine artificial intelligence with smart home, smart office technology, so that, like we talked about the coffee maker, which knows exactly what it is you need, your office will know by your calendar how many conference rooms you need. It will send out mailers to all the participants. It'll send out reminders. It will know whether you like the air conditioner hot or cold. It'll know, to adjust the temperature. It'll know to adjust the lighting. Maybe you just like natural light and turn off the overhead lights. What my client's company does is that they use AI to adjust the color of the walls in order to brand it. So if you have like a blue logo, it'll make the walls blue, and so on. So you're going to be seeing a lot of disruption and digital transformation in real estate. Among that, there's going to be biotech digital transformation. I mean, that's like the most in demand right now. But we're going to have a lot of innovation in biotechnology, autonomous vehicles, and robotics. I mean, we're leveraging them right now to deliver medication, to deliver care in order to protect our healthcare workers. And then that's going to feed into telemedicine. There are places that don't have access to doctors, to modern healthcare, and robotics will fill that gap and enable doctors to do long distance healthcare. One additional thought that I had was that there were so many conferences scheduled for this time period, and they were all canceled or postponed till God knows when. What many companies have been doing is that they've been innovating in AR, augmented reality, virtual reality platforms, in order to provide a virtual conference experience. And I think that's also just like that work from home notion. We're going to be seeing some growth over there, because could you imagine? I live in New York and I want to go to a conference in London. What does that require from me? If I wanted to attend a 1-hour session in London, I have to take 3 days off from work. It's going to take me a day to travel to London, and then a day to be at the conference. And then I'm going to come back, and, it'll take me a half a day or whenever, and I'm going to be wasted. I'm not going to be able to work. So for a 1-hour session, I'm traveling 3 days. Could you imagine with virtual conferences, I could attend 3 sessions simultaneously around the world, one in New York, one in Beijing, one in London, and probably 2 more somewhere else. So it's going to enable a much larger scale of engagement to these conferences, as well as cutting down on waste. So waste in terms of schedule-wise, as well as pollution.
So this pandemic probably caused us to scale up our productivity to a level we never thought we could.
For sure. I mean, it's a tough time we're in right now, but necessity is the mother of invention, and we we humans rise to challenges, and we're in a challenge now, and we're rising to that occasion, and we're adapting and we're innovating because of that. So, absolutely.
So, next question. In a world full of noise, how should businesses leverage AI to make sure that their marketing messages reach their audience? Make sure that they are heard.
That's a great question. I mean, that's what I deal with all the time. And a lot of that goes back to the way we started the conversation with automation. Um, Everybody's leveraging automation. Everybody should leverage automation. But the question is, where do we leverage automation and when do we leverage automation? So when I speak to people about these topics, I have do's and don'ts. So the do's are basically be human. Be you. There's so much noise out there. Everybody's automating their messages. There's so many bots out there. People don't want to hear another bot. And even if they did, they wouldn't know which one to listen to because they all sound the same. Hence, be human. You stand out. You're different. Now people hear you.
Personality.
Your personality, because that's unique. And people will notice. And then that's how you're going to attract your prospects. Also, do automate everything that doesn't matter. So like we talked about with the marketing automation, you really don't have to sit there on your keyboard and manually post 60 posts a day. If you need to post 60 posts a day across 10 different platforms, do that. But load that into some kind of a scheduling management system. You could use Buffer, Hootsuite. There's so many tools out there. Get that done automatically so that you're not doing that, because that's a colossal waste of your time. Don't automate engagement, though. So when you want to get heard, and you finally did get heard, and somebody posts a comment, don't put out there, a canned response, the same to everybody. Show your personality. Show that you care and engage back with the person, and that'll help you go a lot further.
Putting the human element into automation right there.
Yeah, absolutely. The automation is a tool to be leveraged in the right place at the right time.
In collaboration with humans.
That's right.
Better together.
Exactly. Marketing is all about humans collaborating with other humans.
So, what tech do you expect to see businesses adopting to make sure that their customers are supported and served during the lockdown? To make sure that their customers don't feel deserted.
And that's very important. We touched upon some of that with some of the previous questions. I mean, self-service is a big one. And, customers understand that businesses are spread thin nowadays. People are sick and businesses are limited with resources. And most customers are willing to go the extra mile in terms of having the patience to deal with, maybe a little bit more of a challenging type of self-service. Maybe it's not so easy to use, but people are willing to give you the benefit of the doubt if it means that they can get the support that they need when they need it. And not meaning to commoditize it, but again, chatbots win big time because that enables you to go and check your account balance and make inquiries and perform other tasks that you might not be able to do except with speaking to a person online. Teleconferences are another one, as evidenced by Zoom's colossal exponential growth over the last few months. So teleconferencing is another big technology that people will be leveraging. And then the run-of-the-mill telecom services, forwarding calls to cell phones. It's not a complicated technology, but it's a big deal. You have customer service agents that cannot work in a call center. They have to work out of the living room. And a very low-tech solution to getting the calls to the agents is to forward the calls to their cell phone. So forward to sell features of many PBXs, many office phone systems, unified communication and collaboration tools such as WebEx, GoToMeeting. These are all very important tools that businesses are leveraging nowadays in order to help serve their customers.
Hey. So, with everyone having a fair amount of free time right now, how do you think businesses should be leveraging their social media and their content during this pandemic to build an audience which will be sustainable in the long run?
So you always want to leverage social media. However, now more than ever, it's so important because that's all you've got in terms of engagement. You're not seeing anybody face to face. So social media is very important. And my rule of thumb when building an online presence is share more than you pitch. There's so many people that are just pitching their stuff. Buy my widget, sign up for my webinar. But what are you about? Who are you? Right? You have to understand there is noise out there, and everybody is doing that. So my rule of thumb when I speak to clients and I interview clients on Ask the CEO, I always tell them deliver value first, build trust by delivering value, and establish yourself as an authority. Now that you've established your authority, you have a right to share your pitch, and then people will actually, will actually listen to you. So before I interview a new client, I always share with them that I have a very structured process to approaching an interview. So many people interview just to share information, which is great. But what's more important is for me to help the client. This client has to be heard. So as somebody that's interviewing, my role in an interview is to ensure my client's heard. So I instruct them to first, before you talk about yourself, share an industry challenge. What are your customers dealing with? What's hurting them? Because you want your customers to connect with you. Talk about their pain, talk about their challenges, whether you're in healthcare or whether you're in manufacturing. What are these businesses struggling with? Once you've done that, now you've got their attention. Share solutions, not your solution, not, hey, I've got my widget that I can sell. No, give the audience a gift. Here's what your pain is. What I've seen working 20 years in the industry is that if you do this, this is how you can overcome that challenge. Wow. Now you've given me a gift. I'm interested to hear more. And then, only then, do you pitch your services. So when thinking about how businesses can build that online presence and especially during this critical time period that we're in right now, think about how, and this is how we started this conversation, how can you serve your clients? How can you serve your target market? Because that's why we're in business. We're in business to serve. And once you've done that, you're going to go a lot further in terms of engagement.
So straight up give them value, as much value as you can give them. Because they're only going to engage with you after they start trusting you, right?
Absolutely. That's really it. That's what it's all about.
So any other sound bites that you'd like to leave us with?
Many small businesses are trying to build an online presence for themselves. Thinking back to when I was just starting out, it took 4 years for me to start building an online presence to get to where I am today. It wasn't easy, and it certainly didn't happen overnight. I learned many lessons over the time, which I applied to my business. And over time, I started to become more successful and earn my clients' businesses. If I can sum up in 2 words, the lessons that I learned over the past 4 years of building an online B2B social media influencer marketing agency, it would be human. Be human, It sounds simple enough, but it isn't. I mean, we're under pressure. We're under pressure to innovate. We're under deadlines. We're having cash flow problems and things like that. And when we're under pressure, we want to take shortcuts. I mean, it's human nature. But understand that we have technology that can do that better, faster, and cheaper than we can. And it's called AI. So to avoid falling victim to AI and instead become its master, we need to leverage the one thing that you have, which AI will never have. And that's your humanity. I mean, think of Pinocchio. So humans crave connection with other humans. That's what drives us. So in a sea of noise, your humanity will cut through the noise of all the other bots and shine brightly like a lighthouse, leading your prospects directly to you. Embrace your humanity. It's your greatest asset.
That's wonderful advice. So thanks for all of your insights, Avrohom. I'm sure our audience has gained like a lot out of this wonderful conversation.
Thank you so much for having me on your show, Jeremy.
It's a pleasure to have you with us today. Anyways, Engati Engage will be back with a new expert and a new episode very soon. So please stay tuned, guys. We'll be back soon.